It's back with Lynden and Pauline for the arts program. Good evening, everybody. We've got an action-packed show tonight, and first in are three very colourful women opposite me, very good actors, and they're here because Megan, who's sitting in the middle, Megan Reidl, is the director of a new production presented by the Ballarat National Theatre really soon, sort of it's starting in the holidays at the Courthouse Theatre, and Megan's the director of Medea. Hello, Megan.
Hi, Lynden.
And Zareen Webster, you're participating in Medea. Hello, Zareen.
Hi, yes, I certainly am. I'll be part of the chorus and I'm composing music for the production of Medea.
Oh, excellent. Looking forward to finding out about that. And Rebecca O'Callaghan, hello.
Good evening.
And what role do you play?
I will be playing Medea.
Oh, goodness. So we're very privileged, Pod.
We are.
We have the music composer and the whole chorus, I'm sure, and the director and Medea herself. What's it like to be Medea, Rebecca?
Challenging, I think is the first word I'd use, but also what an amazing honour. I've never done theatre in Ballarat before, but when I heard Megan's vision, what she was going to be bringing to the story of Medea, how she was making it so relevant to today, I couldn't say no. It was an amazing opportunity and it's been fantastic.
And tell us, Megan, how you are making this play from what year?
I don't even remember. 400 BC or something.
Yeah. How are you making it relevant to today?
Yeah, well, we've modernised the production, so it's set in a modern era, you know, modern costumes, modern setting. The text is a relatively new translation as well, so it's only about 10 years old, so it's certainly modern sounding, it's very conversational sounding, so that's been good to work with a modern version of the text.
Because was it originally more stand there and give a speech type of...
Yeah, I mean, it's Greek theatre, so it's very much designed for a sort of stand and deliver style performance. And Medea is actually an interesting play in that it's designed for two actors to play. So one actor plays Medea and one actor plays everybody else. So you have a lot of scenes where it's Medea and one other person on stage and then they go and someone else comes on and it's supposed to be the same actor. So, in that way the text is kind of unusual, but obviously we've cast it with more people than just that. And then you have the chorus as well, so... Yeah.
And
I don't know if that answered your question.
Zareen, you're in the chorus.
I certainly am, yes.
What role does the chorus play in this production?
So the chorus is traditionally a group of Corinth women, Greek women, if you will. The chorus traditionally is written as sort of the narrator, if you will, sort of commentates on the inner workings of the world of the play. But with the way that we have structured it, or the way that Megan has structured it, the chorus has become more of an integral part in the world of the play itself. And I guess that what makes it a little bit different with this particular...
Yeah, so they're actually characters in the show. So there's three women, they're neighbours of Medea, and they're a band, and so they're kind of there playing music, composing music, and interacting with the other characters in the show. Whereas normally...
Yes, that's very different from my image of
normally
how a chorus
in Greek theatre,
works.
the chorus are on the side there and they're kind of there to explain what's happening as a sort of conduit between the audience and the characters. Yeah. And to also then talk to the characters and say, hang on, have you thought about this? And kind of analyse the play as it's going along.
And that, like... hello, have you thought about this? That is actually in the original writing, but
yes.
just... Yeah.
So we haven't taken any text out at all. We've just sort of changed the way that the chorus interacts with other people.
The way we've interpreted the text, and also to the point where some of that text we have translated into song formation.
Right.
So there'll be some music, not so much sort of musical theatre, song and dance spectacular. It's more of a, well, what are the poignant moments that we're trying to get across as chorus members, and how can we heighten that?
Yeah.
We've decided to go with this vision of a band and with music.
So,
yeah, so it's a very naturalistic way to incorporate music into the show. The chorus happened to be a band. They happen to have instruments there. They feel like they want to sing because something's going on that inspires them, and therefore you have a song.
and I think we're sort of used to song coming into a production like that sort of comments on something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Except that we're avoiding it being Medea the musical. It's not a musical.
Definitely not.
Far from it.
Yeah, no. And how many people in the show?
We have a cast of 12.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, decent size, and there's a big age range. With the youngest are 11 and 12. We've got 2 boys that play Medea's sons.
From BCMA.
Jesse's from BCMA, and Atticus is a young performer from Ballarat. So yeah, they're both really enthusiastic young actors.
I think Jesse's coming in for an interview after you.
Yes, he is actually. Yeah, so you'll hear from him shortly. And then we've got Sam Drew, who's 16. Ruby, who's quite young as well, and then right through to John Bolger, who's, I don't want to disclose his age because I don't know it, but you know, he's a senior gentleman who's playing a GS. So it's great to have an intergenerational veteran performer. Yeah, thank you.
So most of those actors never performed with National Theatre before.
I think a few have. I know Ruby has and Sam has. I think John has in the past, but most of the sort of core kind of leading roles haven't. Yeah, so there's a lot of new blood coming into the theatre company, which is really great.
It is great. And Rebecca, you were saying just earlier that you haven't played in Medea in Ballarat. Have you performed in other places?
I come from London, so when I left drama school I did a lot of stuff over there, and I've lived in Ballarat for 18 months now, so I work at Sovereign Hill in the theatre team there. But this is definitely different to the sort of thing I do there. It's been amazing to emotionally explore a character like Medea, who has so much depth, and as an actor, it's a fantastic role to take on. I'm really excited about being able to do it.
Megan, why do you think? What's attractive about putting on a play like Medea? Because I mean, really, it was written, thousands actually of years ago.
Yeah, I actually think that's one of the things that attracted me the most, is that it's this ancient text, and you think that far back, we're so different now. We're not. Humans are fundamentally the same. The things that drive us, jealousy, love, family, betrayal, all these things, that they're still driving us now. The themes are really relevant.
So is that what's in it? Betrayal, jealousy?
Pretty much.
Ooh, really juicy.
Really juicy stuff. Yeah, and it's the kind of story that has been, told 1,000 times, and in its most basic format kind of comes up in other avenues as well. So I found the longevity of that story really interested me, and kind of put my take on it as well. And
have you ever directed a Greek play before?
No, I haven't. So that's that's been an exciting and different thing for me as well.
Yeah. So the original, I don't know what the original translation into English would have been. That would have been forever ago.
Yeah, it would have been a long time
But I just
ago.
wondered what how much really in all those translations the language has changed.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I've read some parts of a Coleridge translation, which is very sort of, now we think of it as quite stilted, very sort of poetic, kind of formal. A lot of the translations you see are in verse, so they're they don't really sound naturalistic.
So I wonder if the original Medea was in verse. Like, is that the way that the Greek...
Yes, it would have been.
And it's written by Euripides? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so it would have been in
verse. Yeah,
and there's still elements of that with Tom Pauline's version. The repetition, the way that it's phrased, they've definitely kept the element of verse in it. So it's not lost entirely, but it's got enough elements of naturalistic language to make it translatable to today's audience.
Yeah, so Tom Paulin, the writer who did this translation, he's Irish and he's a poet himself. So it does sort of still have that element.
Well, I think
nice.
I think if I was going to see Medea, I'd want something that reminded me of its source.
Yes, absolutely.
And tell us a little bit more about the music, Zareen. So you wrote some of the music?
When I was asked by Megan to jump on board as part of the chorus and composer, it was sort of a question of, well, what sort of music style do we want to go for? So I'm not the only one in the chorus. I've got two other women with me, Zara Wilson-Boyle and Tessa Marshall, and so we make up the chorus. And we all had different sort of instrument skills and vocal skills, so it was just a matter of coming together and sort of testing and trialling sort of styles. And you get sort of a mix, anything from sort of a cappella to a bit more sort of rocky country to then some really sort of stripped back acoustic and vocal work. So it's sort of, it takes you on a bit of a journey with the music.
It does, it sort of, it evolves and twists and turns, which, I've sort of just forced these three women to become a band. They're not a band in real life. And that's had its own challenges, but I think ultimately the music's really interesting and exciting. So,
and all of the comments by the chorus are not necessarily song?
No, not at all.
Oh, no. So we've picked heightened moments that we thought most appropriate to turn the text into song.
Yeah.
So we just went ahead and composed the music to go along with the text that was already there by Tom Pauline.
Yeah, great. Well, look, let's just have a little pause from our discussion and go to a couple of promos. So we'll be back in a moment, folks, with more with these three women to do with Medea, but here are a couple of promos.
UFS, we're here for you.
Sturt Street UFS Pharmacy is here for you, with a free nursing service available every night of the year from 6 until 10 to help with minor ailments. No appointment required. Sturt Street UFS Pharmacy, here for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
We're here for you.
Proud sponsor of Voice FM.
Classical Delights can be heard every Friday afternoon from 1 till 3 here on 99.9 Voice FM. I'm Nichols and I share this show with my good friend Anne Woods, who brings her own inimitable style to the program. You can hear Albinoni to Zamfir, Baroque to Contemporary and just about anything in between. Tune in for Classical Delights and enjoy the wide variety of music.
You're listening to 99.9 Voice FM and I'm Lynden and this is the Arts Program. Pod and I are talking to Megan and Zareen and Rebecca about the upcoming production of Medea, which will be on at the Courthouse Theatre. When again, Megan?
I was going to let Zareen answer because she's closer to the mic.
Zareen, when is it again?
Yeah, great. So we're performing at the Ballarat Courthouse Theatre. So we open on the 28th of September and we'll run through till the 5th of October. So in total we've got 8 shows for our season. We've got a couple of matinees in there as well. So that'll be...
So is it something like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights or something?
So we open on Saturday night. We do Saturday night, Sunday matinee, and then we are doing Tuesday through Saturday night.
Okay.
The Saturday matinee as well.
Gosh, that's an ambitious lot of performances.
It's a lot. These guys are going to be absolutely exhausted. But
Who actually makes those sorts of decisions?
The board.
Right.
Ballarat National Theatre's board.
And is that usually the run of a show in the school holidays?
Yes, usually they often don't do the Tuesday night. Sometimes they do a Monday instead. It just depends on various factors, but yeah, that's kind of how it worked out.
And usually the Ballarat National Theatre has a show. Is it in every school holidays?
Historically, yes, it has been. Yeah, they usually try and do 4 a year.
Yeah.
And it's a really good idea for school children to come and see this because they study it in Year 10. So,
do they?
Parents, if you're listening, make sure your future Year 10 students come along.
Bring them along and
give them a head start. Be a good parent.
Well, that's great. And also then parents can talk with their kids about it, or just kids come along or as a group together. Have you had any interest? Like, do you know that there's been a school group?
Yeah, I've heard a couple of school groups might be coming. Whether that's eventuated or not, I don't know. But I know, a couple of the schools have either studied it already this year or will be in future. So, it's certainly, for that upper secondary school level, it's perfect. Yeah.
Well, terrific. Sounds really exciting. Are there any men in it, or is it all female? Just because you're three women and you're all looking at me.
Definitely some men in it. So we have
someone plays Jason.
Jason, who is Medea's husband, who's at the start of the play betrayed her with a younger woman.
Right.
Which is what sets all the wheels in motion for the tragic journey that begins there. We've also got Aegeus, the King of Athens, and we also have the messenger, as we talked about, is male, and Creon, the King of Athens, Corinth even.
Corinth, yeah.
Does the messenger do more than just run in with a note and then turn around and run out again?
He runs in with about a 7-page long note. Lovely Sam Drew, who's a young actor here in Ballarat, he has a very small discussion with Medea and then proceeds to tell an incredibly long story. So he's got the longest monologue in the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The messenger?
So he's got his work cut out for him. And he does it beautifully.
I was imagining, one of those roles where you stand up the back with the spear or something, or being a tree. So not at all.
Like that. No,
Modernised. Modernised.
No one's got any spears. Just flamingos.
How do people book? They Google Ballarat National Theatre or...?
Yeah, so you can either go to Ballarat National Theatre's website, which is bnt.org.au, or you can head straight to Her Majesty's Theatre website, which is hermaj, HARMAJ.com, and you can book tickets directly there.
Right, okay. Well, it's really exciting, and because I can't remember, well, maybe the uni did a Greek tragedy, but other than that, I can't remember a Greek tragedy being performed. Zorene's making faces.
Well, it definitely wasn't my time at university.
I know when I was at university, not here in Ballarat, we did Antigone.
Antigone. I think we did Antigone at school all those years ago.
But no, I don't quote me on this, but I think it might be one of the first times that BNT's done a Greek tragedy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And last question, but it's a big one. But I did give you...
Don't relax. I'm moving away from the mic.
I did warn you earlier that I might ask it, and that is, what is a tragedy?
Well, Megan, you had the best answer.
My answer was it's a story where nobody wins. And that's it.
So nobody wins. Does that mean everybody loses?
Yes.
Right. Oh, that's sad.
Everybody loses, or at least, yeah.
Rebecca's shaking her head.
Well, I think there are. It's a complex piece. It's not black and white. There's no one you could say they're all good, they're all evil. That's a baddie, that's a goodie. It doesn't work like that in this translation. As Megan was saying, it's definitely relevant to today. You'll recognise, any audience member will recognise something in one of the characters. It's going to have them on the edge of the seats, I promise. It's very dramatic.
Edge of the seats, and it sounds you're all very passionate women, and it sounds like all the characters in the play are very passionate about what's going on. So if you want a bit of passion, go along to the National Theatre starting on the 28th. Thank you all very much for coming into the studio, and good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynden.
And I'm going to put on some music by Jeffrey Dombrain, who actually is a resident of Ballarat. Pardon me, I'm losing my voice pod. And this is from a CD, Jeffrey Dombrain, Electronic Music, 1978 to 1991. And Jeffrey Dombrain taught at the State College, Melbourne State College, when it was called that. And he taught music, and he was quite... what can I say? He was one of the early people who was interested in electronic music in Melbourne. So I think this track, I have no idea what it sounds like, but it's called, it's one of 5 reflections for a painter. And this is reflection number 1. Enjoy, folks. That was one of the 5 reflections for a painter by Jeffrey Dombrain on an album called Jeffrey Dombrain Electronic Music 1978 to 1991. You are listening to the arts program on 99.9 Voice FM. And I have heaps of people in the studio with me right now. Let's see, I have Jessie, Daisy, I'm just trying to get names to faces, Hayley, Missy, and Daisy.
No, Ruby.
Ruby. Oh, you're Daisy, Ruby. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Now, when you speak, you're going to, Daisy, you need to sit further forward so that you're about as far away from the microphone as I am. So Jessie and Ruby and Hayley, when you speak, especially Hayley, you'll have to lean forward into the microphone. All right? So I can adjust the level of the sound a little bit here, but you do need to speak into the microphone. So, you students, they're all sitting here, folks. I'll try and describe it to you. Everybody's sitting here in their BCMA sort of uniform costume things. Daisy, tell us what BCMA stands for.
Ballarat.
Ballarat's the B.
Ballarat Centre of Music and Arts.
Okay. And how long have you been a student there?
About 3 years. 3 or 4 years.
Yeah? And how old are you?
I'm 11.
11. So is performing something that you'd always wanted to do?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great. What about you, Jessie? How long have you been a student at BCMA?
I started BCMA only this year to join the music and arts program.
Yep. When you say music and arts, is that visual arts?
Yes.
Painting and things?
No, it's performing on stage.
Right. Music and performing arts. So just this year?
Yeah.
And you're loving it?
Yeah.
Great. He's doing a big smile, folks. I always have to explain it to the people who are listening because they can't see us. What about you, Ruby?
So I think I've been doing BCMA for about 2 years.
Yep.
And I'm 10.
And you're 10.
Yeah.
You all look about the same age. What about you, Missy?
I started it last year and
Yep.
I'm 10.
You're 10. And Hayley at the back?
I've done it for about 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I'm 11.
you're 11. So everybody's 10 or 11, I think. Great. So that means you're in...
Not me.
Sorry?
I'm 12.
Oh, you're 12. So that means you're all in grade 5 or 6. Yeah, everybody's nodding.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where to start. So, Hayley, can you tell us, you've got an exciting thing coming up that you're going to be involved in. Do you want to tell us what that is?
So, I will be performing the role of Melman the giraffe when we go to Newcastle. Melman is a hypochondriac, and I'm looking forward to playing this role with my friends.
A hypochondriac giraffe.
Yes.
Now, when you said Newcastle, tell us about that. What's that?
So, there are a group of students from BCMA who are going over to Newcastle to perform an excerpt from the musical we did in 2018.
Right.
And we're doing 3 songs from Madagascar.
And is this part of the Junior Theatre Celebration Australia?
Yes, it is.
And is that something that happens every year?
I'm not sure. I think it does.
And you were invited, or...?
Yeah, we were invited.
Yeah?
To be part of it.
So that's exciting. You going over on a bus, or how's that all happening?
So we're going over on plane.
Yeah? How many of you?
About 20 or so.
Oh, really? Lots of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Anybody else in the room going? 1 hand's going up, 2 hands going up. Maybe, you haven't decided yet. When's that happening?
We are leaving on Friday.
This Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Have you packed your bag yet?
No.
And how long are you staying there?
we're leaving on Sunday, so...
Okay, so... And is it a competition or it's just for a big performance?
It's a bit of a competition. Yeah.
And I read somewhere that 3 other students from BCMA are going earlier.
So, Charlie, Archie and Dana.
Yep.
They went a week earlier. They're going to be a part of the junior version of Finding Nemo.
Yep.
And Archie has been lucky enough to be selected from children all over Australia to play the role of Nemo.
Oh, goodness, that'd be fun. Does he have to do the fish face, do you think?
Oh, probably.
You know that one where you sort of suck in your... Can't do it. Yeah, somebody's doing it. Very good. I wonder if he does have to do that. He'd get very sore lips, wouldn't he, if he had to do that? And so he's doing that just in as part of this theatre celebration?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So will you see that performance?
Yes, we will when we get there on Friday.
Oh, you'll be cheering and clapping for Nemo. Well, that's very, very exciting. And so many of you going. Let's go to Ruby, because you're involved with something else, Ruby.
Yes.
What's that?
So, during the same time as the opera, which Missy will be talking about soon, we are also really excited to be performing in the lyric theatre concert called A Day with Disney, which goes from the 26th to the 29th of September.
Okay, so that's pretty soon, isn't it? Like next week, maybe. Is that right? Sound right? Yeah,
yes,
I think so.
yeah.
And where are you performing that?
So it's going to be held at the Civic Hall, and there will be 6 performances all up, held over 4 days.
6 performances. I guess it's because it's part of the school holidays. There's quite a lot of performing that happens in Ballarat over the school holidays.
Yeah.
And what are you singing?
4 of us who are here tonight are in the BCMA vocal ensemble, and we're singing Circle of Life from The Lion King, which we're really excited about. There's multiple groups from BCMA who are singing different things, but the vocal ensemble will be singing Circle of Life from The Lion King.
So do you sing any of those songs with some of the adult performers from Lyric Theatre?
Some of our parents are even singing.
Oh, that'd be nice. Well, I don't know. Is that nice, singing with your parents?
Yeah, I presume so.
Nodding? Well, you've got to say that, don't you, really?
Yeah.
And are any of those songs in different parts? Like high voice, low voice?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? And I suppose the parents would have lower voices, would they? Well, not necessarily.
Most of them.
Sopranos.
Especially the men. Yeah.
So that'd be an awful lot of people on stage, wouldn't it?
Yes.
That's great. And it's lovely to see the Civic Hall being used like that. Have you had a rehearsal there yet?
No.
Well, that'll be interesting. I think they've still got a stage, haven't they?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Haven't been there
I
yet.
think they have. Well, that's great, because that's only fairly recently been done up and opened, hasn't it? Well, maybe about a year now, but yeah, well, that'll be terrific. Who else have we got? I'm staring at Missy. Here we go. Missy's jumping out of a chair. What are you up to, Missy?
I'm talking about Vision 2020.
Yes, tell us about that.
We have been training in our BCMA vocal ensemble since the start of this year. In that short time, we have performed in the Opera La Boheme with a big orchestra. It was my first opera, and Royal South Street competitions. And there's so much more to look forward to.
So that was with, what are they called? I actually got it written down here just for this very moment. That's with it's got a long name, Steve Cordelia's group, isn't it?
Yeah.
Opera. And what does she call them again? Opera Van Diemen's Land.
Yeah, yes.
And so are you performing in the Balan concert that's coming up soon?
Yeah, so we're performing in Balan, Ballarat. Is there any more? No? Okay,
And
just say.
singing, are you singing some sort of operatic music?
So we're singing the humming chorus. So that's
And is that very different from the other songs that you sing as a group?
Well, yeah, it's different because, you're humming.
Right.
So most of our songs we're using
So it's
our
all
words.
humming, you don't ever open your mouth?
Well, we sort of open our mouth to breathe.
Oh, well, true, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could breathe through your nose, I suppose.
Yeah.
And do your lips go tingly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and how many people hum about?
There's about
The whole choir?
17 in our choir or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be nice.
14.
And how many pieces do you do that for?
Do you know?
Like more than one song? Or?
I think.
Oh, one song.
Yeah, I think that's the only song we're doing.
And do you, as you do the humming, is your actual group singing and humming in harmony?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. I think that'd be a gorgeous sound. And whereabouts in Ballarat are they performing?
So I'm not sure where the Bland ones are, but the Ballarat ones are at the Mechanics Institute.
Oh, the Mechanics Institute in the Minerva performing space? Yes, it must be. I think Ballarat might be in the Mechanics Institute as well.
The Mechanics Institute.
Yeah, they had a lot of mechanics in those days. Actually, mechanics meant really in those days just a working person. So it wasn't necessarily like a car mechanic or, you know, someone with tools. But in the olden days, they were very keen on the ordinary worker being educated and having time to get involved in artistic activities, so literature and just general learning, but also the arts. So that's why so many places had mechanics institutes and the hall so that lots of people could go. Who haven't we heard from? Maybe Daisy. What are you up to?
So I'll be talking about Harvest Rain. So I did the 2018 Harvest Rain Arena production of Grease, and I was so excited to audition for the next show, which was The Wizard of Oz, which I got into, which I was really proud of. And also BCMA helps us learn to audition so we can be involved in shows in Ballarat and Melbourne, and this has been great fun.
So who's putting on The Wizard of Oz again?
Harvest Rain.
I missed that. Say it again.
Harvest Rain.
Harvest Train.
Harvest Rain.
And who are they?
It's a company that, like, some adults do it.
Yeah. Is it a Ballarat-based company? Or?
So they travel around, like, they go to Perth, Canberra, Melbourne, Ballarat, so they kind of go everywhere.
Yeah. And these performances that you're going to be involved in, is that here? Or?
No, that's in Melbourne.
Right. I'm just thinking of all the travelling around all your parents do.
Yeah.
Are they beginning to complain?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I did lots and lots of ballet when I was a kid, and my parents complained every now and then because it was almost every night after school and, you know, weekends, and they always had to pick me up and drop me off and go and see my shows. And I think my mum hated ballet, but she always came to watch. I'm just going to go to a couple of ads and then we'll be back talking to you. So here's a couple of sponsorship promotions, folks.
Is your business looking for a way to give something back to the community? Give your business valuable exposure at the same time. Sponsorship on Voice FM provides an affordable way for you to help a local community organisation and in return receive on-air promotion for your business. From as little as $60 per month, your business will receive sponsorship spots on Voice FM. If you would like to know more information, call the Voice FM sales team now on 5331 201. That's 5331 201.
If you're a carer, ex-carer or someone with dementia, please come along to see Mr Belvedere's, a film about moving a loved one from home to residential care. It's at the Little Square Grace by emailing anntudor@bigpond.com. That's Anne, ANNETTUDOR @bigpond.com.
So it's Lynden back again with the arts program, and I have 5 young people in the studio with Pod and I right now. And next up is Jessie from BCMA, who's going to tell us all about what it's like to be in Medea. Jessie.
So in Medea, I've been working with a large amount of adult actors in... So I'm playing the role of the child who is Medea's son.
Right.
It's going to be on the holidays at the same time of the Lyric Disney.
And you involved in
concert?
that as well?
Yeah.
Gosh, so busy.
Yeah.
That'd be a bit different, though, being the son in
Yeah.
Medea. Well, I think something dreadful might happen to you, but I'm not telling. You didn't hear that, listeners. And then the Disney thing, which is quite different. What do you prefer, do you reckon?
I love them both, and I can't really say a preference at all.
Just very different, hey?
Yeah.
Do you get to say anything in Medea? Have you got a line?
I'm a non-speaking role, but I'm on stage quite a bit.
Right. That's actually, I think, a real challenge to be on stage quite a bit if you don't speak, because speaking somehow connects you to the role, doesn't it? I think if you have some lines, it just fills your character out a little bit more. But if you don't speak, I think that's a challenge to actually be in the role and not slip back into being Jessie going, oh, what's for tea? Or, when's this going to be over? Or there's someone I know who's in the audience. You've got to actually...
Yeah, it is pretty hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've been able to pull through with the help of our director, Megan Reidl.
Yeah, she was in here just before.
Yeah.
And there's another child...
yes.
Is that a daughter of Medea
no,
or a
it's
son?
a son too.
And-
We're twin brothers.
Oh, you're twin brothers. Do you look alike at all?
No, not really.
Oh, right. Do they fiddle with the makeup so that you do look alike?
So far we haven't had a full dress rehearsal, so we don't know.
I'm only joking. Often twins don't look alike, actually, unless they're identical, do they?
Yeah.
No. So who was it? Was it Daisy who said she had something else to say?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, Jessie. It sounds terrific. Very
Thank you.
serious play. Daisy's busy reading. She's catching up with what she's going to say here.
She probably already knows it, really.
She probably really does.
So for the Wizard of Oz, there are heaps of kids from Ballarat doing this huge show because the organisers saw how much talent there was in Ballarat in our dance schools, and so came to BCMA studio to run auditions. There are children from all over Australia taking part in the tour, doing shows. Is so much fun because you get to meet new people and new experiences.
So are some of you going to be travelling all over Australia with that show?
Yeah.
What about school?
Oh, we can miss that. Yeah.
Gosh, what fun.
Do you have a teacher that goes with you or something?
Pauline's saying, do they have a teacher that goes too?
Oh, Miss Paula, yeah.
Miss Paula's coming too.
Yeah.
And when does that kick off? When does that start?
That starts, I'm pretty sure, June.
Of next year?
Yeah. So it's a
Okay,
while
so...
away.
That's super exciting though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do you travel for?
I'm not quite sure.
Not quite sure how long she's travelling. Pauline, nobody can hear you over there.
Oh, you can.
Well, I can, yes. And how many of you are involved in that? Like a lot of you? Or?
So a few of us from BCMA are doing it, and then there's heaps of people, like 500 other people doing it as well.
Oh, golly, imagine. Imagine organising that with all of you and, who's where, when, and golly, that'd be fun with costumes too, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're munchkins.
You're munchkins?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Right. Yeah, and very colourful, I'm sure. Now, Hayley has got her piece of paper. She's making her way to the microphone. Here she comes. Hayley's got something. See, even more things are happening at BCMA.
So some of our students will also be auditioning to do a special musical theatre tour to America in 2021 as part of the Aussie All-Stars. They'll go to New York, Atlanta and Los Angeles to work with celebrities and professional theatre coaches and directors. They will see the Hollywood sign and perform at Universal Studios, and then they get to go to Disneyland.
Is the best bit Disneyland or the bit before that?
I would think Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. Just being honest, yeah. Well, that's amazing, isn't it? So, Hayley, for you, just for you yourself as Hayley, is your favourite thing about doing singing and acting and dancing, Is your favourite thing actually the learning or is it the performing?
Well, I really like the performing bit. I also like learning new stuff as well to become a better actor. But I love performing.
Do you have a preference for song, dance or theatre?
Just musical theatre.
Musical theatre, yeah.
Something that I reckon we might have asked this question before when we've had BCMA students in, but do you think being part of a group like this, does that help you with your other schoolwork, like with your schoolwork in general? I can see a bit of nodding there. How do you think it helps with your other?
Well, we've all been working together and that helps. So we can work together at school.
So you know how to collaborate?
Yeah.
Okay, what about some people might say that you get too tired because you've been going 2 or 3 times a week or whatever, and then you're at school and you're too tired. That's not a good argument.
We don't. If you get used to it, you get it's not that tiring. If you really, really love it, you wouldn't get tired of it, like me. Yeah, I get tired of it.
We had a 4-hour Madagascar rehearsal last Friday, and we were tired, but we wanted chips. Yeah, we got chips.
That was good.
Yeah. And at Medea, we're usually doing rehearsals until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, so how's that for you?
Yeah, and I usually go to bed quite earlier, so it's not really doing that well on me, but I really enjoy it, and that's more what musical theatre is about.
Yes, and I suppose you build that stamina, Jessie, after a little while. You're going to be performing in the school holidays, so that might make it a little bit easier. But I think some people who've never been involved in theatre and performance don't really realise how much work and time goes into perfecting what it is that you're doing for the show. It's a lot, isn't it?
It's kind of like proper work, but fun work.
Yeah, definitely.
It is, isn't it? And so
like PE.
Yeah.
Like PE? Oh, do you reckon? Have any of you ever put on your own show, like made something up and performed it?
I do that to my mum and parents.
Sometimes, but like this term, I'm directing my own Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for my school.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, that's another big job.
Oh, great job.
You're a very busy person, Jessie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck with Wizard of Oz, Newcastle, Medea. I'm trying to see if I can remember everything. The auditions to go to America next year. What have I left out? There's something I've left out.
Yep.
It's something happening. Give us a clue.
Disney. And a David.
Oh, they're whispering and I can't hear what they're saying. I'll have to have a look at my notes. Just a minute. Visions.
Vision
2020, which is coming to Ballarat soon, but it's in Balan not this Saturday, but the one after, I think. And that's opera, folks. Young kids singing opera, but they're humming. Is that the one you're humming in?
Yeah.
So that's humming in parts. That's absolutely fabulous, and I wish you all good luck with all of those things and continue doing it.
And also a day with Disney.
That's great.
We're also all doing an end-of-year performance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, an end-of-year performance.
We're doing a twist on Willy Wonka. Wonka goes bonkers.
Yes.
And someone in my class, his name is Ashton, has been cast as the role of Charlie.
Right.
In this show.
Okay. And when you perform, where do you do that?
We just kind of...
Might be trying to find us. Oh, you're doing it at BCMA?
Yeah, it's a BCMA.
BCMA. Yeah, okay, cool. So keep your eyes open for BCMA events, folks, and you'll see all these young performers around town. I hope some of you, when you're bigger, when you're older, stay in Ballarat and make the performing arts really exciting in Ballarat. That would be fantastic. That's after you've gone to Melbourne and around the world and been famous. Then you come back. Okay, well, thank you all. And here is another promo, folks, and maybe a little bit of music. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Wendy. I'd like to invite you to join me on Thursdays from 3 to 4 for my show Free Time. I have great easy listening music, chats and interviews with interesting people. Tune in to 99.9 Voice FM, Thursdays at 3.
Since 1989, the Ballarat Health Services Foundation has been helping fund the purchase of essential equipment at Ballarat Health Services. Major projects like the Spread Our Wings campaign raised over $500,000 towards the emergency department. Other contributions have been made to the Ballarat Regional Integrated Cancer Centre and Base Hospital operating theatres. Donations, bequests and more information on BHS Foundation can be found at foundation.bhs.org.au. This production proudly donated by H Studios.
Well, that was a riot just then with all those little kids, and they're so enthusiastic, goodness, and they smile all the time, and, you know, and they're just so excited about life and what they're doing. Whew, just have to breathe in and out for a moment. Moving on, this is still the arts program, and I have two completely adult, mature, sophisticated people.
Not as
opposite me.
excited, not as full of energy.
No, the energy, I must say, is a little bit different, Jessie. So I have Jessie and Dean from Cake Industries. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to be here again.
And I've invited you in because you two, as Cake Industries, well, I think as Cake Industries, are participating in White Night.
Yeah.
We are.
It's
true. That's true.
And it's a wandering thing?
It is. It's another roaming work. This time, actually, it's the biggest roaming work we've ever built.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a commission. It was commissioned by Robotronica and Experimenta at the start of this year and supported by the Australia Council, and it's called the Hybrid Society. And it's a group of 3 sculptures that roam in public. They're humanoids with television heads and strange telephone hands.
So they're not really people?
Well, they look very real, but
they
no.
do look really real on the internet. I thought one was you, Jessie.
No.
And one was you, Dean, dressed up. But they're not.
No, well, you know, in a way they kind of are us, in that with our roaming works, they're actually proxy performances. So actually, if you look carefully, you will see us in the background
somewhere
hovering
in the
nearby.
Yeah. But you'll be trying to be invisible like that artist in the photographs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe not to that level.
So describe the work a little bit more, Dean.
So there's 3 sculptures. So 2 of them are walking, and they all have television heads. The 2 that are walking, they embody the influencer. So this rise of the brand ambassador. So they're in a constant state of selfie taking. And
they walk around charging through public places amongst
because
crowds
they bang
of people.
into things, don't
That's
they?
right, staring at their phones.
And they're very flamboyantly dressed. They're very flashy. They're like peacocks. They want everybody to look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
But they only look at themselves.
That's right.
Gosh, I think that'll be everybody on White Night.
And then we have the lounge room scene, which is the modern family. So 3 other humanoids sitting on a couch.
Oh, different ones.
Yeah, so these are the modern family, the consumers of what the influencers are creating.
So
basically.
even though they're seated on a couch together in an entire moving lounge room, they're all staring at their own devices, swiping constantly.
Not talking.
No. That's right.
So can I ask a question? So like when you had working a couple of years ago, are these, I missed the start of the interview, I'm sorry, but are these creatures going to be roaming around?
They'll be freely moving around
and
everything.
so we can kind of walk up to them, but not get too close, I suppose. But they'll sort of, in some way, kind of interact with the public. And
that's right.
They do, yeah. In fact, they're probably the most interactive of our roaming works that we've built. They're fully articulated. They're moving arms and heads, and they do react with the public.
So the social media influencer, is it human size?
Yeah.
So it would be like as tall as me or as you? Or
Well, yeah, a little bit taller.
A little larger. A little larger than life.
Taller than that.
Yep. And they have televisions for heads.
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Of course they do.
And they have, don't they have like old-fashioned phone receivers for hands?
That's
right. Yeah.
So they've melded into their technology, but that technology is from about 30 to 40 years ago.
So what we're looking at with this is this kind of addictive behaviour, not just of social media, but of the use of the device, that at any moment you're never left alone with your thoughts because you're kind of augmenting your world around you with what you see through the glass tile in your hand. So,
and you're never in the here and now.
No. Well, it's also a little bit, there's a study that shows that humans are never spending more than 7 seconds in the present moment. But instead of us going back to memories or imagining things, we're now starting to spend anything that's not those 7 seconds looking at what other people are doing or wishing you had someone's clothes.
I just noticed because I go to the gym. I try to go often, but really I go like twice a week or something.
That's pretty good.
That's often.
Oh, do you think that's good?
Yeah.
Yay me! But so many people at the gym. Like I would think one thing that you should be doing or could be doing at the gym would be paying attention to your own body, like how it is that you lift this weight and whether or not you're doing it properly or how it feels through your body or whatever. Nobody's paying attention to their bodies at all. They either stare at the telly screen in the gym or they have earphones on listening to I don't know what, maybe a podcast or maybe music. But nobody's doing this physical workout thing and paying attention to where they are here and now. And that's in the gym, let alone like walking in the street or sitting on the bus or being on the train or, you know.
I mean, that's the interesting thing is that as teenagers we grew up with the birth of the internet, and that was this amazing ideal that at your fingertips you could look up anything, connect with anybody, and it seemed so exciting, and it was a place of websites that people would make for their own odd little reasons and have their own existence, and it seemed like anything was possible. But kind of what we've ended up with is a siloed kind of series of grouped kind of worlds owned by corporations. And of course people are still free to make their own websites, but nobody's really interested in doing anything that isn't inside of Facebook or Instagram or any kind of social media, TikTok. I don't know, there's new things all the time, but we no longer own our existence when we exist in these places because we're bought and sold as data. We become commodities.
That's right, we are bought and sold as well, aren't we?
Yeah. That's right.
So I hope you've been inspiring to yourselves, and you don't spend much time on the internet and...
Wow.
You don't have to make any admissions here. We're not like that here. One thing that just popped into my mind was you seem to have some, from the work I've seen of yours, you have some enduring motifs like the telephone and the TV.
Yeah.
They're sort of motifs that you tend to use quite a bit in your work.
Yeah, it's these vintage elements too that are pretty kind of enduring objects. So they might have changed over the last 50 years, but we still recognise them as the element themselves. And televisions also, they represent kind of the latest technology that, I remember as a kid, as you probably would, that being told too much television would make your eyes square.
Square.
So too much of the new technology is bad for you, essentially. And I guess that's why we're using these things to represent the latest technologies and the latest versions of these things.
And we were interested too in the fact that they've gone beyond being objects and have become icons. You show a picture of a vintage black telephone with a dial on the front, even a small child who's never used one or seen one in real life will still know that that's a telephone. They may not know how to use it.
And that motif of the TV, I think you often use that kind of 1960s kind of version too of the...
That's right.
It's got that...
The wooden box and the screen.
Which is...
Yeah, the very early square ones are really attractive to us. And
beautiful objects.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, they're sort of symbolic of being shut in a box too, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it was also a tipping point too. The birth of television meant the death of a lot of reading and cinema as well. Suddenly we had beamed into our lounge rooms all sorts of crazy things. It had positives and negatives. But the reverberations of that continue through to the way in which we use everything. It kind of, all of these things are kind of grandfathers of what we do now. But the interesting thing is that with the televisions we now have in these works, we used to use and find beautiful specimens of televisions, which was really difficult. We now make them, and we've been you look closely, you'll notice that they're all handmade.
Because that way
beautiful.
we're able to do exactly what we want with them.
Yeah.
Rather than getting an object and trying to fit our stuff inside, we
Right.
work from the inside out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the family with the television heads, they're all handmade.
Yeah, we made all the
I can't wait to see that. I'm trying to envision a whole family sitting on a couch, is it? And moving around the streets of Ballarat.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that.
So does the couch family move with the other people with the
So
phones?
they kind of, the influence kind of satellite the couch. So the couch is a very large object, so it's not as nimble as the walkers.
It's the size of a hatchback, basically. It's quite big.
Oh, really?
It's quite a big object, so it slowly sort of trundles along like a big turtle while the influencers sort of strut around, and the influencers are actually walking. Their legs are moving and their feet are touching the ground, even though they're standing.
So this will be quite an interesting, like, have these two pieces performed or been out and about doing their thing in such a big crowd before?
Their first outing was at Robotronica in August in Brisbane, and there was a lot of people.
There's 22,000 people in that on that
but
day.
only during the day, so this will be really interesting to have a nighttime version of it, because there's a lot of lit up elements that will pop a lot more during the night, so we're really keen to see how that plays out with
And are
the
things like
crowd.
uneven surfaces and that sort of thing, are they a problem?
Not really. I mean, we're sticking to roads and footpaths, anywhere that can be rolled on.
Yeah.
Luckily, the world is getting more and more accessible, which is good for rolling sculptures.
Yes, that's right. Good for rolling sculptures. And what's next in the world of cake industries?
We're launching straight into another big project. So that was we took about 6 months to build the Hybrid Society. So that took a big chunk of our year, and we had a little break, and now we're launching to another one, which will take about 3 months, which is going to be installed at the Ballarat Gallery.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a commission, also supported by Creative Victoria, that we're going to be exploring the messy and sometimes ridiculous human psyche in a kind of caged humanoid zoo installation. It'll be quite wild and weird, and it's been a while since we've built and installed work, and we've been really keen to get back to it. So this is going to be coming back with a bang alongside a whole bunch of previous works in the galleries next door, and it's called 8:26 a.m.
6
But it can be any time. So it's about that snapshot of that moment in time where one thing's happening in your life, but 10 billion thoughts are going through your head really, really quickly. And so we're kind of extrapolating those thoughts into real-life objects. So it's quite absurd and surreal and weird and wonderful.
So for example, you know, we're human. Our brains aren't perfect logic machines, and so even though we might be ordering a coffee, we might not like the way the barista looked at us while we asked for some sort of change, but also you've got a strange little pain in your finger and you're remembering where that came from, whilst at the same time wondering why your mum called last night at a strange late time.
Yeah.
And all of these things happen simultaneously in a messy sort of crazy sort of snapshot. And so what
That's what happens to me all the time. But Al, my husband, one thing. I don't know how he does that. Whereas I have heaps of things. And when I was in Hanoi, we were both in Hanoi, I don't know, 2 years ago or something, you know, North Vietnam, busy, heaps of things going on at the same time. I sort of got vertigo, and I didn't really know why. I just felt sick, and, you know, I thought maybe I'd eaten something. Or then I realised that my my sensitivity to what was going on around me was just hyper.
Overload.
And there was so much going on that it was like vertigo.
Wow.
So I realised that after about 4 hours or something, and then I just had to be a bit more like Al, who was fine, and, you know, more focus on one or two things of what I was doing and just not be distracted by things around me. And so, yeah, that was really, really interesting for me.
Yeah.
But I think in our busy worlds, it can be like that very quickly. Things can escalate and you can have 16 things on your mind at once, can't you?
Well, not just that, but also there's always that little testing moment in the back of your brain that you filter out, like if you're leaning over a balcony or the third-story floor, you wonder, what would happen if you fell over the edge? What would that feel like? All these little tiny moments, and it's not like you really fully go through them, but you suddenly have this little twitch of a moment. What if I push that person? What if I, tip this mug over? These kind of odd little moments that you filter out and go, no, that'd be bad because of these reasons. But it happens so quickly, and it's constant. And so we're trying to bring a little bit of that madness out.
Might be constant for you, maybe. It'll be interesting installation.
So do you do like practice yoga or meditation or something to just focus, or does the work itself focus your energies?
I would love to say that the work focuses the energy, but the work fragments everything into 1,000 more pieces. And
yeah, the more the work is, the more everything is, I think. And we have to have our time away. Yeah. And living where we are, it's nice too. We go out and play with the ducks and chill out a bit, and you have to have those things when you're making such complex, because we use a lot of different materials, and it's a lot of thinking, as well as being quite physical. So it's kind of like you really need to
Because it would be amazing to just be able to build the form, and that was the form. But then we have to think about how strong it is so it can move, and how does it move, and does that object that moves it interrupt it? And suddenly everything gets redesigned 4 or 5 times before you finally get a piece.
Check, recheck. Is it actually fulfilling my intention? And what does it mean symbolically? And all
visually,
of that?
what are we looking at here?
Yeah. And then we have to have arguments, lots of arguments about it.
Because I'm,
Yeah.
Because your eyes right. But I'm also getting a sense too that you're making something, you're working on an idea, and you've got all these wonderful little kind of concepts and what ifs happening. That there must be all of these other ideas for new works too happening
absolutely.
At the same time. And that can be really overwhelming as well. Can't
it can be, and you have to kind of put them into where you want them to be. So are they going to be part of this work? No, okay, let's put them aside. They could be a future thing, because otherwise it just gets a little chaotic.
Yeah, there's a work at the moment that keeps on bouncing back in my mind where we're going to revisit an earlier work, and I'm trying not to do it right now. It has to wait until this is finished. But
you have to be very disciplined, don't you?
It's really difficult to put that aside if you're excited about it.
One thing would be great about this work is that we've been doing a lot of public works. So we have to think about a lot of safety, durability, certain things, because people are going to be
suitable for a family, open environment as well.
Public. But this one, we're putting a cage around it. And so whatever happens in the cage, it can be forceful, it can be, maybe a little bit dangerous to put your hand inside, but it's been removed from that. So we've got a bit of freedom, which is nice.
And a bit of darkness and a little bit of dark humour, and there's a warning for parental guidance on the outside. It's a bit more free for us, it feels good.
And when is it going to be wandering? Is it going to be wandering all through White Night, or have you got set sort of times when it's going to come out?
The Hybrid Society? Yes. So from 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. we'll be doing approximately 2-hour sets, and then returning for a battery change and brain recharge. But it'll be quite flexible depending on what crowds are doing. It's sort of dependent.
Our base is Camp Street, so you'll find us mainly there.
Oh, okay.
We'll be stretching out a little.
Because sometimes Camp Street can be left out of the loop a little bit, so that's interesting. Good. Yeah. All right, well, best of luck for it, and everybody get out there on Saturday night.
Indeed.
Where's the weather? I think it's not too great, guys.
It's going to be 1 degree,
I read it just before. Well, it says...
I don't think there's going to be any rain.
It says on Saturday, minimum 5. Now, I think that's Friday night, but it might be Saturday night. I don't know how you read this. Minimum 5, maximum 13, showers easing. So maybe by the night time, the showers might have eased and people just have to wear a jacket.
But if it does rain, there's they'll just go in briefly and they'll duck back out again. And as far as I understand, there's some more things happening indoors, and it's going to Civic Hall as well.
Okay.
So
Great.
I think, there might
Look
be
at your program for White Night, people. It's all over the internet. You can.
I've reposted it to the Arts Program Facebook page tonight as well.
Yes, all right. Well, thank you, Jessie and Dean, for coming in from Cake Industries, and we look forward to interacting with your hybrid society and what's the other one? The lounge room.
Oh, the 8:26 a.m.
The lounge room's all
the lounge room's all part of hybrid
They're
society.
one big society.
It's one big society. Okay. Thank you so much. And let's go to another little sponsorship thing. This is for Stage and Screen, and we'll come back with some guest presenters. A bit of a surprise. Thanks, guys.
Hi, I'm Nichols, and I'm inviting you to join me every Friday afternoon at 3:30 when I bring you music from Stage and Screen. I present interesting facts about films and stage productions together with lots of great music, and you can enjoy it all right here on 99.9 Voice FM.
Is your business looking for a way to give something back to the community? Give your business valuable exposure at the same time. Sponsorship on Voice FM provides an affordable way for you to help a local community organisation and in return receive on-air promotion for your business. From as little as $60 per month, your business will receive sponsorship spots on Voice FM. If you would like to know more information, call the Voice FM sales team now on 5331 201. That's 5331 201.
So it's Lynden back here with the arts program, and you were listening to then reflection number 2 from Jeffrey John Brain's electronic music, and it was number 2 out of 5 reflections for a painter. Welcome back to the arts program, and we have in the studio now 2 guest presenters, and it's Mary Card. Hello, Mary.
Lynden, how are you?
I'm good. And Hap Hayward. Hello, Hap.
Hello, Lynden.
Yes, and it's over to you guys.
Well, thanks for having us, Tap. You know, it's long-time listeners, admirers. It's nice to see your faces.
Yeah, it's a really good opportunity to come in and have a chat. Thank you very much. Mary and I have been having chats quite often, and we thought we'd like to sort of give it a bit of a try beyond the kitchen table in terms of a lot of our interests involved in the arts and Ballarat in particular. And so, hence, here we are in some way.
And, you know, we've got a lot of amazing things to say that we want to share with the largesse, don't we?
Hopefully. That is, yes, hopefully.
Yeah. So we thought we'd come in and talk about basically our little microcosm experiences as people who are out in the world doing music and fun stuff, and Hap does these trivia nights, and I do bar choir with Paige and Harry, and I wanted to talk about the way people participate, I guess, in community music or community, or, you know, in music out in the world, or trivia.
Yep.
Or arts participation.
And so the bar choir concept, you've been running that for...
it's over a year now.
Okay, and it's been not just in the one venue, which I found interesting and refreshing as well.
Yeah.
But you've given it a go in various... Oh, given it a go. You've placed it in various places all over Ballarat.
Yeah.
And
we want to try and get as many people involved as we can who might not get opportunities to do any singing.
Okay. So they might be people who might be particular to a particular venue, and then you can go to another one because those people you're finding another sort of community in a way, a batch of people that might frequent that one.
Correct. Yeah, we have our groupies.
Yeah? Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
So, one lady invited me to go around to her house they have regular dinners. They have these My Kitchen Rules dinners, and she wanted me to come to the dinner.
Ah, there's a lot of that sort of thing going. Like that reminds me of what's called parlour shows. Where artists, quite established artists, are getting people to book them to come and play in their living room or their backyard.
I actually looked into that, and they wanted like the $3,000 up front.
Yeah,
and I was like, I could give you $30 by next Tuesday. But not the whole $3,000.
This was a particular artist.
It was. Who was it? I can't even remember who it was now. So it would have turned out to be okay. Only about $70 per person, but I would have had to fit 700 to 800 people in my house
to actually make it work.
No, it was going to have to be a lot of people, but I politely declined.
I reckon Deborah Conway, and I might be proven wrong, was one of the first to pioneer this, and it's almost been a decade or more where her and her husband sort of started.
Yep.
And I remember just recently we were eyeing off the idea of getting Robert Forster, former go-between and solo artist, and just the price bracket was just that little bit tricky in terms of the amount of friends that you have and family that may be interested in this artist.
Not many friends, but I would have gone to that dinner for like a slice of lasagna.
Oh.
Well. I'm not. If anybody wants to call up Voice FM and put in a dinner invite right now, I'm actually pretty hungry.
Yeah, you haven't eaten before you've come on?
No, too nervous.
I understand those feelings.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to mention, if I could, sort of my long history of appreciation with this actual radio station and its various guises. I remember listening as a teenager to people and hearing their voices before I actually met them. Some of these people were Janet McLeod, who is a very well-known curator of the comedic arts. She runs a comedy venue in St Kilda, which has been running for nearly 20 years, and she got the Doug Anthony All-Stars up here a couple of years ago as well. And Rex Hardware, he was another one. I heard his voice, and Mick Trembath. Now, they all became very close friends, but I actually first heard them on a Thursday night while I was studying for VCE on what was called Triple B FM.
Triple B.
I think the show was called Breakfast with Sam.
Very original, racy sort of name.
Yes, and it was on it during the evening. And there was another fellow, a voice that was really unique to me was Badger, Guy Farney. Badger did a radio show, and Badger was born deaf, and so his voice was really quite interesting to hear on the airways because I wasn't really made aware of that information, and he had a very unique sounding voice, and he ran a show with some good friends. I believe Chris Morris may have been involved as well. And I got to know him as well, so I actually heard a lot of voices before I met the faces. And a lot of these faces became really very close friends. So community radio, I just wanted to reminisce ever so slightly how it's impacted on my my friendships and my collaborations with many artists as well. And of course now it's been Voice FM for a number of years, and it's gone through all sort of different sorts of changes, but it was very handy as a musician back in the day, living with someone called Rex Hardware who had the keys to the place. And something that was quite unique was you wrote a song with your mate, and then Rex put you in his car and you came down at whatever hour in the morning it was, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, we'd get on air and play the song. And this was pretty wonderful, just to have that experience so readily available in all its trickiness.
No auto-tune?
No auto-tune, maybe the odd angry phone call from Dave Dellenberg, who ran the show, going, what's going on down there? But it was wonderful, it really was. It was community radio. I can't think of it being more community-minded than that. Actually leaving your living room after writing a song and then playing it.
Straight to the community. It's a conduit from you to them.
So I thought I'd reminisce ever so slightly, and before we actually get up to date with the 21st century.
Well, my experience of community radio is pretty limited to a few interviews on here, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were they mainly bar choir related, or there would have been a few other
I think I did some Sweet Mona's Choir ones back in the day, and I think bar choir, and I think that's it. I think it's just been the two times.
Yes. Yes, I've had the pleasure to be on the show a couple of times, which was wonderful to promote a show I did at the Fringe Festival, and it was a celebration of Loudon Wainwright III, a great songwriter, and that was a lot of fun, and I lost a fair amount of money, but it was really, really worth it.
How did you? One of the things I liked about that show was that you got different people in every show.
Yep.
To sing and perform for you, and how did that sort of affect, so your audiences were changing of course, not the same people every night, except for your mum.
Yes.
But
it actually worked really well in that fact, and I think it was subconscious, but then it became wonderfully conscious to me that, yes, if this guest singer came, they were most likely to bring 20 friends that night.
That's right.
And that made it an audience of 22 that night, which was fantastic. And then the next night, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
And the premise was to have different guests always. I just thought that would be really cool. And most of them got paid.
That's good. And
yes.
the ones who didn't, you've changed your number.
They're still just very good friends.
Yeah.
And yes, but I was a little shocked. And I guess when you put on festivals, be part of festivals like the Melbourne Fringe Festival, you learn a lot about how much these things cost.
Mm.
And once you join an organisation that's running a festival, you learn a lot.
Mm.
And so does your bank balance.
Mm.
It was great.
It was good. It was a good show.
Thanks for coming, Mary, by the way.
Yeah, it's okay, and you owe me for the ticket, but that's okay.
That's right. But you came to see a friend, which,
I did.
Again, it worked. It was perfect. Linda Borner sung beautifully.
She did.
And so, yes, it was a celebration of the Wainwright family because they've gone on, their children have gone on to be great songwriters, so there was plenty of material to work with. Yeah.
And pretty good audiences, actually, enthusiastic and supportive. And do you find when you do your trivia, your regular trivia, which is it just called Trivia with Hap?
No, it's called Hap Hayward's Guilty Pleasures.
Oh, that's right.
With the Brodie Glen Ensemble.
Which is just Brodie.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
And it's a very good sign. The sign's the most professional thing about it. And that happens, it's meant to happen once a month on a Thursday evening. And the premise was sing songs that you would that would be considered kind of uncool. And the very first one was Better Get Used to It, which I remember on Countdown. And the singer's name has eluded me, but it was such a funky, great song. He's sort of singing in front of a big fan. And I should know his name because he kicked off the whole damn thing. Better get used to it because I'll be around. You know it, yeah. And so that's the equivalent. And then trivia amongst those songs.
And how do you find the trivia audiences? Have they, I guess Thursday night they're not getting completely marketed?
Well, it's interesting in a pub, and I've grown up playing practically in pubs, so I'm pretty relaxed about it, and so is Brodie. But if you weren't relaxed about it, you might take a little bit of preciousness towards it, because people come and go. We've had teams just up and leave. They go, this is too hard, or, this...
And what about, a participatory aspect of trivia? Do you find many willing takers?
Well, yes, and we had a great one doing this a swingers show with like Sinatra and Tony Bennett, etc.
When you said swingers show?
Oh, yeah, swingers show. Oh, yeah, I remember saying we have to change that name. It wasn't a swingers show in the end. We changed it to something a little... Yeah, we didn't want that kind of an evening. Not yet, but it's still a good idea. I planted a singer in the crowd who had emailed when he heard we were doing it. And I usually walk into the crowd and say, what's a guilty pleasure song of yours?
Ah, yes.
And someone says something and I give them a box of biscuits that I bought from NQR.
Yep.
And but this time, this person said, well, it's My Way by Frank Sinatra. And I said, well, why don't you damn well sing it?
And then you cued the singer?
Well, Brodie had been...
Oh, that was it. Oh, right.
This was the guy. And he got up on stage and the crowd thought it was all very spontaneous and fantastic. And he did
you tell them the truth?
I eventually told them the truth because he had the lyrics up on stage and he kept looking at them.
We had a pop-up saxophonist at Bar Choir in Geelong, a couple of weeks back. And it was this brilliant young girl musician who's still in high school, and I sourced her from a band down there, the Sweethearts. It's been running for decades, and it's an all-girls soul band, and there's all girls from different high schools. And so we got onto this girl. I can't even remember her name because I'm old. and, lined her up to pop up and play the sax solo from Never Tear Us Apart, the In Excess song. And as we taught the song, I was just making everyone sing the saxophone part. They didn't really love that.
Okay.
They didn't really want to do that. They felt pretty confronted about that, making that noise, even though I'd made it sound pretty good, to be fair. Anyway, and so then we practiced it, and I gave her the wink and the nod, and she just popped up and started playing the sax part behind them.
Wow.
And they all got this look on their face. They were really, really confused. And then they turned around and saw that she was playing, and she'd been singing along the whole night, and it was actually so great.
That's fantastic. I believe I saw them play at the Begonia Festival this year.
You may well have.
They
go on tour overseas.
Yeah,
and
the name really rings a bell, and they were sensational. They
Yeah.
kept swapping instruments and people. And Roger Vodoris was the name of that artist, if you don't mind me. I've just received a message. We've already got a friend who's helping out. Roger Vodoris sang Better Get Used to It.
So take your pens and write that down.
Thank you, Kate
Those
Suter.
who are listening. Yep, thank you, Kate Suter. So anyway, and a lady said to me afterwards who was there, "Oh, that was so wonderful," and when the saxophone player popped up, and I actually got a tear in my eye.
Oh, beautiful.
Which then I got a tear in my eye just hearing about someone else's tear in their eye. And so,
lovely.
yeah, it was just, people are thirsty for soul food, I reckon.
Mhm.
They want it.
And this idea of bar choir is actually melting the idea of performer and punter together.
Yes.
But melting wasn't really the best word.
Perhaps
But
you meant melding?
melding I'll go with, okay?
Smolting.
They were smelting.
Smelting.
They were smelting together. And that's quite lovely as well. I would imagine people getting a lot out of being participants
People
in the actual performance.
People are very scared. People are really nervous, which is why having a drink in your hand can help. And it's funny because Paige and I don't even drink.
Ah.
So we're up there encouraging people to go and buy drinks so that the venue gets us back in again and makes enough money. And but they're very confronted. And then when they walk out, they're very happy to have done some singing. But unless they come along with the intention of doing bar choir, you can't thrust it upon a person.
Can't lead.
They freak out.
Yeah, you can't lead that horse to water.
They get very angry, and I've had some interesting gigs where we've done some corporate gigs, and people are trying to encourage people to get up and sing, and they just are really confronted. And why are people like? What's the gap?
Why are people? You could just end it with that. Why?
And that's our show for tonight. And
Dan Lund was the singer. I just got another message to remind me. Dan Lund was my mystery guest singer, who on the Swings night I gave a nod and a wink to.
Thanks, Dan.
And he did his thing.
Yep.
So thanks, Rex Hardware, for letting me know and reminding me.
But,
Sorry, cutting there.
Yeah,
You're
that's
on a roll.
okay. We've got to, I'm sure people are making a playlist out of our conversation right now.
Yes.
So why is it? So I teach children singing and music as well.
Mm-hmm.
And up until about grade 3 or 4, they are just pumped to be singing and having a good time.
Yep.
And then at about grade 4, it flips and they start to get really, worried about singing, worried about doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere there's a gap, because then often for most, for an average person who isn't a musician or, might not, there's a gap of music or theatre or arts in general, not just music.
Yep.
Where people want to do it, but they don't feel like they can. They don't feel like they have the right. They feel like they need to be excellent at it.
Okay. So that sort of perfection thing, I don't want to sound cynical, but I would say probably comes down to a lot of the TV shows that are the reality TV shows. I don't want to get all boorish about that, but
Don't let me stop you getting boorish.
but it's just that idea of what is perfect is sort of like a competition, and the idea of a competition is always, even though I'd like to plug a Ballarat Battle of the Bands coming up at the Eastern, because they're very good friends of mine, and I was a judge on a Battle of the Bands last year at Corova Lounge, which now I've seen at least 4 of the acts quite regularly playing. But they were right at that age of about 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And they're actually just off and firing. And you're talking about, what happens at 12, 13, 14, 15.
I mean, when you're do music, and you know a lot of people who do music, a lot of their children will then go on to do music in a capacity of either enjoyment or, you know, do a band or whatever. But there are huge amounts of people out there who don't ever sing, which is why the pub choir movement, which we've sort of based our gig on, has been so successful, sold out concerts and sold out events all over Australia, because it's accessible to people, and you don't have to be... People say to me all the time, I can't sing, you don't want to hear me sing. And I say, well, you don't have to be good at it.
Yeah.
You just have to do it because it's good for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that ethos of learning how to sing on stage or in public or whatever it was for me personally, and knowing a lot of friends becoming accustomed to their instruments and what they were wanting to do. Growing up in public, I think, was a comment that Lou Reid made, but it was a good one. So there wasn't that search for perfection. It was just a search for a release of some description and a love for something as well. And so could pub choir become like an avenue like creche choir or something?
Creche choir. Well, there is... Children are pretty well... you know, there's plenty of things for kids to do.
Anyway, at that age.
If you go and seek it out, yeah. But I reckon... I just think... I mean, I can remember my mum playing the piano and us singing along, and very casual musical experiences where, you know, but everyone would have a sing, and I don't know that really goes on anymore. Even when you see on Facebook or whatever events for sessions, say down at, you know, Irish pubs or whatever, it still seems quite formalised, and I don't know that people would just go, oh yeah, I've got my jazz flute, I'll head on down and have a, you know...
Jazz flute. Okay.
You know, I think that people are scared to do it wrong, and how do we get around that?
Encourage them to give it a crack anyway, and not be discouraged as well, not have an experience that actually sends them completely away from it forever.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure a few Battle of the Bands could have done in the past, and other experiences, whether it's musical events at schools that have gone pear-shaped. I think I'm talking about a few of my experiences again. I remember I was very excited. Fred Farger came to see us play in a musical, Half a Sixpence, and I was starstruck and forgot everything. and the director,
Fred Farger.
The director literally tried to strangle me at the end of the show. What else have you got to say there, Mary?
Well, you know, I have written in my notes here, and I'm not really sure what this... Oh, that's right. It says, how long since smoking something. We were talking about pubs in our conversation the other day, and talking about, you know, people coming to do or be part of things. And you were saying that after when the smoking bans came in, the whole...
It was
experience changed quite a lot.
Yeah,
playing on stage.
Yeah, for sure. It was really strange because I remember, booked to play at the Retreat in Melbourne, and what had happened was they just put the speakers outside so people could still smoke. And I played to an empty room, which I'm not going to say I could count on my hands the amount of times that has happened, but people were out, and suddenly that punter experience and musician experience was almost the opposite of your bar choir philosophy. People were outside in the beer garden while you were playing inside, and I noticed that shift quite immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and say what a sad day it was when you couldn't have a gasper in the pub anymore to your band, but there was a significant shift between punter and musician there for a while. And I'll never forget going to Corova Lounge for the first time since the band and actually smelling what people smelt like. It was unbelievable.
A shock. It's a shock, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, smoke is terrible, but... my God.
We're both... Are you still smoking? I'm an ex-smoker.
Yes. My children are listening, and I'm an ex-smoker as well.
Yeah, good for you.
But yes, the body smells. It took a while to get used to the sense of no more wall of fog of smoke.
Maybe people needed to start bringing their links to their nights out.
Speaking of links, that just sounds like a great link to something.
Link it to the song that you want to play.
Oh, yeah. I brought in a CD, and Mary was going to bring in a CD.
But I completely forgot, because I do a lot of preparation for things like this.
So I wouldn't mind hearing this particular song. A, because it's one of mine, C, what happened to B, and B, that's an old joke. No, it was a band called the Underminers I was in with Chris Morris, and the song is called Page 21, and it was written for Badger, who I originally started talking about. When Badger passed away, I bought the Courier, and there were lots of lovely words, of course, which happens to everyone who will pass away here in this town. And the song was dedicated and written about that experience of having a friend who's passed away, and the people, relatives and friends, sending their messages.
And so this is called Page 21.
Oh, that's right, Lynden. Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can put it on.
Oh, terrific. And it reminds me that one day we'll all be in the Courier.
To put on number 14, I just quickly press 1 and 4, don't I?
Yep.
Sorry, folks, that you're hearing the mechanics of what goes on.
So I feel like you can see our underpants right now. I feel naked. I do have a good head for radio, though.
I'm completely tongue-tied. Yeah.
He could play guitar, and he could even sing a bit. He'd been known to draw the tears out of some old-time rock and country hits. One Friday when the local bar was filled up with his mates.
Sorry, folks, that was the wrong one. I'll try again.
That's okay. Rex Hardware recorded this at Granary Lane, another wonderful venue full of wonderful experiences. And I did tribute there for quite a while.
A baby was born on the front page. There was a picture of a woman and a child and a man and an ambulance driver. It was in colour and a happy, happy thing. It was in the same newspaper you were in. On page 21, your name again and again. On page 21, under little prayers from friends. Little prayers from friends. Little prayers from friends. Little prayers from friends. Little prayers from friends.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Granary Lane and everybody for putting this top show.
I wanted to make a joke.
We're back on air with Mary wanting to make a joke.
But can I?
Go right
I
ahead,
want to.
Mary.
Oh no, was this going to be? You said was it a short song, and then I was going to make a mean joke about a short career. Wouldn't have been a very good joke, but I make no promises.
No, it wasn't a long song. It was just a quick sort of bit of little sort of poetic spiel, and Chris Morris provided the music quite delicately and lovely, and it was just like a little piece, really. I don't know if you'd get away with calling it a song, but it was on a compilation called Croxton Records. We had our second Underminers album was released by Mick Thomas from Weddings, Parties, Anything. It was very exciting to have him do that for us. And I have about 80 copies of that album in my shed, which I'm willing to give to people if we can ever turn it into food or anything like that and make it value. But yeah.
One album equals one loaf of Tip Top.
It'd be good about a barter if I went to Safeway for this record and was able to walk out with some crumpets or something.
Yeah, imagine if you tried to pay with
my art. Excuse me, I really do need a toothbrush, and I have this album from 2004. It didn't sell that much, but if you took it home...
And look at this photo I took on my phone. It's really good.
Oh, so you're even going like that?
No, it's actually, I can't take
that thing costs money, but we're talking about the value of art now. Though films are being made on iPhones, which is fantastic.
In fact, yeah, it is good. I mean, phones in art are an interesting thing. I was looking up this artist the other day, because that's what I do in my spare time. I look up artists. And I stumbled across this artist, David Hockney, who's actually born in 1937, and does a lot of iPad art. So sits there on his iPad and makes little arts. And I can't remember what the point of this was. Oh, that phones have been, a blessing and a curse in some ways, because I think that they've made the people's threshold of amazement very, very high.
Yep.
So it's very hard to impress people because they've got access to amazing things on their phones all the time. They can watch someone, walk across a tightrope and, or sometimes they do die on the internet. But, yeah, so I think but then also people are making amazing art, recording songs, filming little films.
Yeah, a friend of mine sent me, her name is Flock. She's an amazing rapper
Flock.
and singer-artist. And she sent me a demo she'd been working on for me to have a listen to. And I thought, oh, that's fantastic. I mean, that is just like the sort of stuff, I guess, going back to before, talking about writing a song in the lounge room and then getting it played on the radio. It's like she'd been working on this and just wanted a little bit of feedback, which, my rap history is not very strong, but I'm a really big fan of hers. I think she's amazing. And it was a wonderful, quick interaction.
Yes, very instantaneous phones.
And that's on Stream Cloud or Cloud Stream or Streamworks.
Do you mean SoundCloud?
That's the one. And yes, I down digited that and I listened to it and it was wonderful. And I have a lot of friends that have a lot of stuff on that thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess, Flock's not very... She's only, early 20s, isn't she? Or even maybe younger than that.
Maybe even younger than that.
So she has really grown up with the old phone technology, whereas back in your day...
Yes, back in my day...
You had cassette tapes.
We would listen to 3CV, top 8 at 8, and you'd never get the first bar of the song because you thought, it might not be the song you want. And you'd be always taping off the radio, and each song you'd miss the first bar. But yeah, I shouldn't be plugging 3. Is 3CV still a thing? I can say that on community radio. Yeah. Oh, good on them. Yeah. Top 8 at 8. They play the top 8 at 8. And,
I actually don't know any of what you said just now is complete rubbish. I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so a tape?
I know, tapes I'm down with.
Okay.
3CV, I don't know what that is.
That was the Bendigo equivalent of 3BA, I thought.
Oh, right.
And even saying that's controversial.
That's like Shelbyville.
Yeah, it was the Shelbyville, 3BA Shelbyville.
Yeah.
But we picked it up in Wendouree quite better and easier than 3BA for some reason.
Yeah.
And it had to stand a certain pace. But, yes, the good old days. Technology. And the kids with the phones making the music and changing.
And the YouTubes.
And the YouTube.
On their Snap Clouds.
YouTube's quite wonderful. We'd have to admit, if you had a night on, you don't drink.
No, I don't drink, everybody.
Oh, so you wouldn't have done this.
Hap drinks enough for the two of us.
Okay, so I'll have a drink and get on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I imagine people, maybe they can get on YouTube without drinking. I haven't heard of that phenomenon.
Kids love the YouTubes, and they don't drink mostly.
Oh, yeah.
They watch shows about... Speaking of high art, kids like to watch shows where they unwrap Kinder Surprises.
Oh.
And get the toy out. And they watch it. Apparently, my kids are a little bit too old for this, but apparently they can watch hours of it.
I've heard of
unwrapping YouTubes,
unpacking.
and then you can make a lot. I could YouTube my unwrapping the washing out of the machine.
That'd be a fantastic idea. And there's the hush voice thing. Have you heard of that?
ASMR. My daughter does it sometimes. Where it's I don't know what it stands for, but it's where you make noises and it gives people a sensation.
Okay.
And it's like you talk really.
Yes. There's
where you scratch things.
Yep. Just the textures of sound.
Yeah. ASMR. Really weird.
Gosh.
I mean, sorry to all our listeners out there.
From top 8 at 8 to RSMR. Well, yeah, you're right. There is a bit of a division going on here.
Yeah. Oh, well, Lynden, I reckon we've finished.
You might have got to the end of the chat.
A very inspiring talk.
Certainly. I just wanted to quickly plug a few things. There is the Battle of the Bands coming up at the Eastern on Sunday the 6th of October, Sunday the 13th of October, and then Sunday the 20th. And if it's anything like the Battle of the Bands that occurred last year, these people will be up and running, and it still is a wonderful opportunity.
It does sound... sorry, Lynden.
Is that school kids? Are they all school kids?
Yeah, they're mostly... they usually are.
Yeah.
And, so this is... you have to bring a parent if you're a child or
if you don't have any friends, you can bring a parent.
If you're underage. I think it is. That was the same deal at Corova as well. These were people in at least year 12, year 11, I thought.
Yeah.
Or just on the cusp of finishing up school.
And is that at the Eastern?
Yes, at the Eastern, starting on Sunday the 6th of October. And it is Sunday 1 p.m. it'll kick off.
Okay.
So you should be able to get mass in prior to the Battle of the Bands.
Yes. Prizes to be won.
I might bring pop.
Yeah. Have you got something else that you were going to...
There's a Leonard Cohen tribute, Tea and Oranges it's called. Chris Brennan put this together and it was so much fun. I sing one song and that's all they want from me.
Which song do you sing?
The Stories of the Street.
And that's from 8 to 8:04, so if you just want to book your ticket for that time slot, that'll be fine.
And they even have me in the first slot too, yeah. Anyway, Friday the 11th of October at the Humphrey Room in the Mechanics Institute, which is a lovely room. And it is wonderful guests come along and sing the songs of Leonard Cohen. And it really is a really well-packaged show. And I told them they should, take it on the road. But
they took offence.
They didn't even listen to me because my song was finished and they thought I'd left already.
Okay, well, that's enough of you. All right. Thank you, you two.
Thanks for having a pair of silly sausages like us on.
I just want to remind people that school, as if you wouldn't know already, especially if you have kids, school holidays are coming up. And so there's school holiday programs and all sorts of arty things, visual arts, all sorts of things. At the Art Gallery of Ballarat, at the library, at I Made It Creative in Sebastopol, in Albert Street, at Clay Motion. So just get on the internet and find out those arty school holiday programs. The Frolic Festival art show there's still a couple of spots for people to submit work to the Frolic Festival art show. And you go to art@frolicfestival.org to find out about that. The festival's actually on from November the 7th to the 13th. As one of our BCMA students was letting us know, Vision 2020 is happening soon in both Balan and Ballarat, and it's Opera Van Diemen's Land, which is Steve Cordelia as the director. It's going to be this Sunday, I think, or next Sunday. Look that up. They're doing music from Madame Butterfly and Tosca. All sorts of different singers from Melbourne and all around the place. I like this one, Pod. St John of God Hospital is looking for volunteers to bring some art-making activities to the patients at St John of God. And working with them on Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon for 2 to 3 hours. And if you're interested, you need to email Laura at laurajaneday, all one word, laurajaneday.com. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't very loud on then. I just turned myself up. I hope you heard some of that, folks. I'll just say some of that again. St John of God needs volunteers to do arts activities with patients. So contact Laura at laurajaneday.com. I was going to say what you said, Hap, about tea and oranges, but I'll say something else.
I've got one.
Okay, I'll say my last one, and then you can say one, Pod. Thursday the 19th, as in tomorrow, at the library between 6:30 and 7:30 is National Reading Hour. Oh. And there's going to be music with George Williams and friends.
Lovely.
Exhibition opening at the Art Gallery of Ballarat this Friday evening at 6 p.m. Mary Delahunty and Mary Van der Broek.
At the back space.
At the back space, but you go in the front door these days.
Oh,
They've done a bit of remodelling, so go in the front door of the Art Gallery because it's been changed slightly, but it is in that back space area. So that was that opens. The official opening is this Friday at 6 p.m. So get along to that. That's all I had.
And White Night on Saturday, folks.
Yes,
don't
of course.
forget.
Yeah.
Look.
And the photo biennale as well, of course.
The photo biennale, and you can get in to see Louis Bolin for $5.
Yeah, bargain.
And watch out for Cake Industries with their hybrid society wandering round.
It'll be a great night.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Woohoo! Oh yeah. Yeah, oh, wana mota, inana joba miti,